from. I just love you guys, and I appreciate you being here for us, and I appreciate you doing the things that we are doing, and I appreciate you building this. Please like this episode as well as every other episode you do enjoy going on right now that I'm very excited about. And I see Doge, and I see the realignment of the educational system coming together for a real unique opportunity that we haven't had in a long time. And that's exciting more and more each day. It all comes back to coming back to yourself, taking your, you have three brains, right? You have the brain of the head, you have the brain of the heart, and you have the brain of the gut, gut instinct, right? I would love to really be able to get into some comfortable situations where we can start feeding back into the community that we haven't had in a long time. If we take the right approach, we have the ability to really dramatically affect not only the children growth, we could start turning revenues and rolling them into, for instance, here in this small town, seeing what kind of effects we have. We have coming up very shortly, as much as we should. And I think this is probably the strongest because it has emotion as well. And then those two signal to the brain to send out the chemicals that do the work that needs to be done according to whatever I have already talked a little bit about it with Emma on Emma Lynn and Grandpa Rodd. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Insights and Straight Talk. How you guys doing today? I want to start today with a question. What if we've been arguing about obesity the wrong way for literally decades? I mean, literally, think about it. What if the disease model is incomplete? What if what we are calling a behavioral issue or a willpower issue or even strictly a disease is actually a long-term nutrient crisis hiding in plain sight? Today is part 2, and this is not a repeat conversation. This is a deeper one, a deeper conversation, a deeper dive. In part 1 with Mary Putre, many of you remember the reaction, the comments, the private emails, the pushback, the curiosity. We talked about obesity not as a slogan, but as a signal. We talked about metabolism beyond calories. We talked about nutrient synergy, not just micro counting or macro counting. And right here, I want to hold a second because this is a really important conversation to me, to this show. And not just because it's Mary, but it's this conversation that sits within an arc that we're on. And many of you in the show know about the Mangum 2030 initiative and the 5 pillars. And those 5 pillars are all supported. The foundation of each pillar is education. So today we go further. But before we do that, I want to acknowledge something really important. Mary's no longer just a guest. She is officially joining us as the newest health and wellness sponsor here at Insights and Straight Talk. And like I said, that matters because we don't take sponsors lightly. We align with people who are willing to sit in difficult conversations, not run from them. People who are willing to question systems, not attack people. People who are willing to go deeper than the headlines. Mary's book, Fat Mary, is not a diet book. It's a metabolic reckoning. It asks uncomfortable questions. It challenges pharmaceutical reflexes. It challenges the food industry narrative. And it challenges us, not with shame, but with inquiry. And if you're here, if you're new to the show, well, I shouldn't say that. If you've been here for a while, the show is not telling you what to think. It's about building enough clarity to think better, to think more informed, to add weight to each of those thoughts. So today we're going to explore, is obesity truly a disease, or is it a predictable outcome of nutrient depletion inside a highly processed food environment? Look, here's some things to ask. What happens at the cellular level? And you know what? People are starting to look at this, and this is curious to me. They're starting to look at it. What happens at the DNA level? Why are so many people overfed and undernourished at the same time? And what would change practically if we shifted the conversation? As always, you drive this conversation, this show. Drop your questions in the chat. Push back, please, if you disagree. Lean in, please, if something hits. This is part 2. And part 2 is where things get serious. Let's get into it. Mary, how are you this beautiful day? We already have 200 people sitting here waiting for your first words. Would you go back a little bit in the journey? I see you. We have your friend up here. And would you go back in the journey, and what was that episode, that moment, that inflection point?
Basically, for the new audience members, I was fat my whole life, and in 2020 I was a caregiver to my mom who was dying of frontal temporal dementia. The whole year I was on keto, and she passed April 10th. And in November I went to my endocrinologist, and I had only lost 4 pounds. And I said to the endocrinologist, I said, what the heck is going on? And she said, I quote, "I'm not a metabolic specialist." And that moment, I swore to God I would not die a fat person. There's nobody on this planet that wants to be a fat person. In my whole life, every doctor said to me, "Mary, you can lose weight anytime you want. Just eat less and move more." And I've been through every diet. I've read hundreds of books over my lifetime. So in 2020, I said, that's it. I could read, and I started reading over 200 books focusing on nutrition, each organ system, the metabolic system, incretin hormones, things that you don't normally hear. And quite honestly, I had to read and reread the books, and I purchased 90 books. And then one of the things that annoyed me was every book that I purchased or read would only tell me one piece of the puzzle. It didn't explain things completely. It was kind of like a lead up where they would tell you one thing in book 1, and then they would, wait to give you part 2 in book 2. And I said, no, that's not what I'm doing. So I created, I wrote this book in 5 years, Fat Mary. That's me, and that's that back there. That is a life-size cut-up that I had made. That was me, February 2020. I was attending a toy fair in New York. I live in the suburbs in Long Island. So I basically just started focusing, and in the book, there's 10 chapters, and it's my observation in my life, and then what time period, how that interacted and affected my weight, and then the medical data.
Wait. Go back 2 steps ago. I missed that first. I was thinking about something else you said. My apologies. What were you just saying again? Can you repeat that, please?
Well, the way the book is laid out, the way I wrote it, is that the first part of each chapter is my life and my life on how I was raised, what I was fed, the time period, why it occurred, and then medical data to support my findings. Like I had mentioned in the last podcast, I was born in 1961, so I was only breastfed for a month, 2 months. My mother body wasn't capable, so I went into getting baby formula at that point. And in 1962, baby formula I didn't know. I mean, I was baby, so in 1960, baby formula was
True.
made of vegetable oil. And now if you move, decades past all the research, vegetable oils are extremely bad
Oh.
for your gut, your microbe, and all of that. So that's how I laid it out in the chapters on, how did it start? Like, I was 5 pounds, 12 ounces at birth, and I was 19 and a half inches long.
Wow.
And I ended up, to that. And then in the chapter, I think it's chapter 2, it's called Wait a Minute, is a chapter 2, are critical weights. I was 130, 140 pounds by the time I was 10. I was 212 at 12, and I was like 5'8" already at that point. I'm 5'10", full height. My heaviest weight was 321. And the last 30 years, I was between 255 and 295, regardless of whatever I did. So each chapter explains, the correlation of how I got to be where I'm at. And also, the whole point of our conversations with the audience is that, right now, the conversation going around the world is that obesity is 100% disease. And I do not agree with that 100%. And as a fat person, I think I have that right of my opinion. And the reason why I say that is because if it was a disease, then I should never have gotten thinner, okay, without the drugs that are being prescribed. And when I was 20 years old, I was diagnosed as having hypothyroidism, which means that your thyroid is sluggish, slow. And the active hormone T3 for me was 1.1. And I tried everything: levothyroxine, Synthroid, Cytomel, and everything. I didn't feel well. I just couldn't tolerate it. And it wasn't until my Mary science project that I read books, and it's like, okay, well, the thyroid needs various nutrients. It needs iodine. It needs tyrosine. So I experimented with iodine in the past. I read books on it, and iodine by itself is not sufficient, because you got to understand something.
Hang on. Before you get too far
Right.
along, you noticed I was writing something down there. I didn't
Yeah.
want to lose my thought about what you were saying, because we're in a really great time.
Right.
In many ways we're not, but in many ways we are, right? So what I mean by what I just said is that you mentioned a minute ago about how obesity, the conversation around the world is that it's a disease.
Right.
And before that, obesity was about being lazy. And then in different aspects, you were just bringing up thyroid. There's a thyroid issue.
Well,
So but the only point I wanted to bring up in that is, and I wrote a note here, is these are trending opinions. These are evolving names. It's like what we do in society. Our pendulum goes all the way over here, then it goes all the way over to here, and goes all the way over to here. And most of us live right here.
well,
So we're hearing. Let me just finish my point. We're hearing all these. We're hearing all these things, and we're living in a point now where we can maybe catch that pendulum in the middle and start looking at. I mean, you ought to see some of the questions that are coming. Let me put this one up first of all. But you ought to see. No, not that one. Not that one.
all right.
Sorry.
You want me
Oh,
to
here, this one.
Where we
Yeah,
going?
no. My point is that
Okay.
we're in this swinging pendulum period, and yet now there's a lot of science, there's a lot of communication ability. We're at a perfect time to turn this from an obesity conversation into a processed food conversation, because that's already starting.
Let me say this. All right. I'm not a doctor, but let me put it this way.
No, yeah, neither am I.
All right. I think, we as a society, and the last, I'd say, 4 generations, we have a tendency to overanalyze things, all right, and make it more than it is. Why can't it just be the simple fact that we're lacking the basic nutrition Our body, we never know in our lifetime what our body can absorb or what it makes individually.
You want to know why? You want to know why?
But
You know
think
why
about
we can't accept that? No. But do you know why we can't just accept that? We'll go back to your point. Remember, I like to
yes.
dive deep.
Yeah, obviously it's the almighty dollar that controls a lot of this, blowing it up into
offset,
a bigger thing than it is.
offset, yes. But what it is it's a lack of education from us or through us, because we're being told something different by all that big money, the big pharma, the big ag. So they're telling us that on commercials, and we're just believing it because we don't have information like what you and I are talking about today.
The internet is now, and these thousands and hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there. People are, look, I'm 64. Okay. I don't know if you remember Merv Griffin, the TV show.
Yeah, I'm only a year younger than you.
Okay. Well, okay, the audience may not know, but
some of them.
Sitcom TVs were popular. Prior to that, you would have talk shows. So talk shows, you would get an hour with a guest, and people would learn, and they would be fascinated by the hour. Now, in this generation, currently, you've got podcasts where you can go hours talking to that person, and you really start to ignite the thought process in your audience saying, oh, I never realized that. Oh, I never heard that. See, I'm not paid to speak to you, and you're not paid to speak to me. All right. And my thoughts is not controlled. I don't have somebody saying, ooh, I'm relaying my observations, my experiences as being a fat person in the United States for 64 years of being alive on this planet. And my whole desire is that the next generations, the young people who are ever listening to this podcast and who will ever listen to it as a recorded audio for history, will learn so that they don't have to be fat for 60 years of their life. So that's why is this conversation. And I think at some point, look, everybody, you have the pharmaceutical industry, they got in the 40s and 50s. When it started out, you had very few medicines. Very few medicines were created. And very few medicines were even taken because people weren't comfortable. All right. So it progressed. The more money came in, the generations started, oh, well, you got TV dinners in 1965. That was accepted. That took a transition because people wouldn't accept it for the first few years. So everything evolves into another thing, like,
TV dinners and cereal. TV dinners and cereal were the two downfalls of our nutrition.
I go food shopping every week, all right? And it amazes me. How many people, like, number one, I remember last week I saw a guy, he had 5 cases of water in his cart. 5 cases, okay? I have a distiller at home. I cook my water, all right? And I'm like, so that bottled water, I don't care what bottle brand you buy, but that sits in a warehouse somewhere. So the heat, the particles from that container, whatever, is in there. And not only that, if you talk about the recycling and the 5-cent deposit goes on it. And I mean, so many things, people have gotten away from just, why am I even buying that? I have not consumed a carbonated beverage since 2005. It's 21 years. Carbonation, anything you drink that's carbonated, soda, seltzer, the carbonation goes in your body.
Mary. Whoa, Mary. We got to break you up here. You're jumping from boom to boom to boom. So I want to break this up because it's important. And here's why. We have 600. Well, it's not that. I just want to break up.
What do you want me to focus on? Go ahead.
I want you to focus on this. The 600 people that are in your audience right now are listening. And at the same time, one of the first comments that came up here, was this. Would you read this out loud? Because he was obviously in the last show.
All right. Amazing discussion. Can't wait to hear part 2 insights. There you go. Jerry.
We've got a couple.
Listen.
We've got some really nice comments and questions here. So go ahead, Mary.
Every one of you 600 people and the 450 or whatever more from last time. I put up my P.O. box and my address.
Yeah.
You guys.
I'll put that on that towards the end. All right. I'll put that in towards the end. Hey, let me ask you something, Mary. Let's hover here for a second. Let's talk about you and what you're doing and what your life's all about and all that.
All right.
Let's get a little reflection. The reason I say is if you look up here, I may be at the top of your head, up across from you, a little logo there called I Catch Your Gifts. Yeah, that's your business. That's the warehouse you're sitting in now, right?
Yeah. So I apologize.
Okay. So no worries. So you and I are starting a relationship.
All right.
And in that relationship, I'd love to talk about how you want. Oh my God, I'm sorry. There's 700 people on.
All right, yeah. Those 600 people got busy real fast.
Yeah, well, I think what's happening is I told you, it takes usually 15, 20 minutes for people coming in. That's why I like that little opening monologue and all that. So we've got some real good opportunities here. But Mary, what you were talking about in your contact, we got plenty of time. Let me just run the show. You got it. I'll just follow along. We'll make it happen. What you wrote in the private chat where you were just talking about is your P.O. box and your contact information. Is that everything you want? Because I will, as you know, put that in towards the end of the conversation. I'll put that into the comments towards the end.
Yeah, the book is actually going to be in Bologna, Italy next month, April 13th to 15th. It's going to be.
Is that one of those shows that you've been going to, right? The book shows?
Because it's going to be available in libraries and schools. I don't want the dollar thing to deny anybody the possibility to reading this book. So it's going into various international book fairs. So this time I put my P.O. box so people, if they want to drop off a card or if there's a question, they can email me. Listen, I'm tired of burying people, and we're in a big problem here.
Wait. You talked about that a lot in the first episode. You have lost. This is not just about you and what you've experienced and what you can go through, but it's also about people you know and people you've lost because of this, right?
Well, listen, when I was talking, I brought the subject of the book on how it compares to my life. I mean, in 1975, my father had a heart attack. And in 1977, at 51, he passed away.
So you were only like in your teenage years.
I was 16 when he passed away.
Wow.
And my parents went on their second honeymoon to Europe. And actually 10 days into the trip, he called me up. And I'll never forget, it was 1977. It was the summer we had 106 degrees in New York. And I was playing Donna Summer on the radio. And my father called me from Europe. And he gets on the phone and he said to me, he said that he was going to die. And I was like, what? And he goes, I'm not here. I'm going to come home. And I got off the phone and I was like, what? And the plane landed on July 21st at midnight. At 2 a.m., he threw up blood. And at 5:45 in the morning, he was pronounced. At 8:45 in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, I went to a local clothing store. I picked out his funeral outfit. And the man said to me, now, meanwhile, I'm fat and I was 16 years old. I was 70 pounds or whatever. And here I am buying my father's last piece of clothing because I loved my father. And the guy goes to me, he's like, oh, little girl, you don't know. You have to know his size. And I literally said, it doesn't matter. He just died. They're going to cut it up the back when they put it on him anyway. And the guy looked at me and he gave me a free shirt and socks. And I walked out the door. And from that moment on, listen, in 2-year period, in 1975 to 1977, my father's older sister passed at 55. 2 months later, my father's only younger brother passed at 47. It was all heart related. I was born in 61.
Wow.
62, I had heart surgery. And, they told my father, well, we don't know how long she's going to live or whatever, because back then you didn't know. So my father was like, okay, she's going to live. Whatever she does, she's going to live. And it was funny because it wasn't until I was 14 years old and in high school that they first asked my father to sign a release form that if I died during sports, that the school wouldn't be held liable. And that's where, it leaves a mark on you that, listen, life is precious. You got to fight for it. And if one person listening to this podcast today takes the initiative to change and improve their health, it was worth it. It was worth it.
Read that out loud. Read that out loud.
Mary's perspective is so refreshing and needed. Well, listen, every one of the people listening here, you got my P.O. box. Anybody wants me to speak, I will speak for free. You don't have to pay me. Just make sure there's some water on the table. I've got my tea. I repurpose it. And then I've got my water bottle here, distilled water. So we're all covered. But so anyway, like I said, look, we all have sadness in our lives. My father passed away. I became head of household. I have an older brother, but he was into the wild things back then. And my mom was from Romania. She was working. She worked so hard. I have had 2 businesses. I wrote a book. I intend to have 2 more businesses. We're only here for a short time. I tell everybody, I got plenty of time to sleep when I'm dead. So in the meantime, let's get this out so we can get some people to. If you look around, everybody, come on, common sense is what has been lost in the last 30 years, is common sense.
All right, let's talk a little bit about that common sense. I see a perfect lay-in to that.
Obesity.
Hold on, let me set up my questions. Mary,
come on.
Okay, hold on, Mary. Let me. Okay, I know you're sitting in your warehouse, your company warehouse. You're also sitting in Insights and Straight Talk, and I've done 560 shows, and I like to kind of roll. Yeah, we're at 560 now. You're in the 560s.
We're leaving the mark on the world.
We are. We absolutely are. And so I wanted to start here because this kind of is the umbrella kind of approach. So we're talking about obesity, but underneath that, really within that, there is so much more that we're talking about. And the questions that are here are phenomenal that I'm reading coming across. I appreciate you guys. I got this, Mary. I got this. Don't worry. I got it. I'm good. Okay. I'm not selling gifts in your gift store. You got that. I got this. I got it. So now I forgot my point. But underneath all of that is the food, is the nutrients, there's a big umbrella that causes things. Now, why I wanted to start with this one, because Richard's got a great point here. Well, he's reissuing, I guess, your point, which is obesity. It's not a root problem. It's more of a symptoms. And under what all I just mentioned, why don't you go with Richard in this conversation? Well, we got a bunch more questions.
Richard's question, could obesity really be a symptom instead of the root problem? Well, it is. I mean,
it's a marker.
Because if you think about it, like we had discussed in the last podcast, is that if you look at the body as doing exactly what it was engineered to do, which means everything you eat, you consume, your body's job is to store it. All right.
Yep.
So if you go back to the early 1900s, before packaged foods, all right, and you ate food you had to go hunt it. You got to go hunt it. You had to go clean it. You had to go prepare it. Then you cooked it. Then you ate it. So the amount of food that you literally could have eaten was very limited. All right. So there was a natural control through nature as to what you can consume. All right. So
which is what we're supposed to eat,
Right.
is what we're supposed to eat as part of nature.
If you go through countries, not just the United States, but you go all the countries abroad, every country is unique to themselves on what their landscape can provide. Like if you go to Alaska, they eat a lot of fat, fish and high fat, oils and stuff. They don't have a lot of vegetation. All right. Now you go to the other extreme. You go to Africa, where you've got every green thing on the planet growing there. So, the earth and mankind evolved, and our body was able to adapt to what we were able to eat at that time. So now you go into the 1900s, and modern technology is great. It's great. I mean, we got the car, we got the plane, we got, and food processing. I remember having a conversation with my friend's mom, Mrs. C. I was saying, about, food processing, the negatives. And she said, and she brought the attention, and I put it in the book, that the food processing capabilities, the technology that came about, provided, us to transfer foods from America to Europe, to provide foods to Africa.
And more abundant, abundant as well.
So
and more
it
abundant.
gave us the capabilities to share the food, so that the thought of starvation was now reduced. All right.
Good point.
But
excellent point.
This is the whole thing is that we have the technology to share the foods. We have the technology to grow the foods. But I think the problem here is that it's assumed, and I don't know if you know this. What is the old saying? If you assume, you make a ass out of you
and me. Ass out of you and me.
Right. I can't say it right now because I gave up curse words for Lent. So this is going to be a clean.
All right. I'm going to say it for you. I'm going to say it for you. Ass.
Right.
Or donkey. So, make a donkey out of you and me.
Right.
How's that?
So people today, and I talk to people all the time because I work in a vitamin shop 2 nights a week, and people come in and they're like, oh, I eat organic. Oh, I eat, just real food. And I'm like, are you willing to bet your life that organic?
Hold on. We got to stop here because you were on an awesome point and then you moved over to the next lane.
Well, because they lead together.
Hold on. Let me make sure I'm the safety net. I want to make sure I understand where your direction. Right. So what you were just talking about is huge, because was it your aunt that made the point? I forgot who it was that made.
It's my best friend's mom, and I had
your best friend's mom. I had this conversation, which is an excellent freaking point, because somewhere in here, technology went over and we are at a deficit worldwide. And so the technology allowed us to bridge that deficit. And now being starved is less of an issue. But then that was back. I remember that. Hold on. Let me finish. Right, that was back. How come you get to talk like for 5, 6, 7 minutes uninterrupted in a row? I only get like 45 seconds. Come on. Give me more time. Give me more.
All right. Okay. I'm calm. I'll calm. All right, go ahead.
Because it really screws up my point. It was right at the epicenter.
All right.
So we bridged that gap that we needed technology, and we're humans. We're advanced. We can do those things. But something, and I remember that timing being. I remember that when that happened, 70s, maybe 80s, and then who's the owner of Apple? He got all into it. Now there's this weird thing about seeds and ownership, and so why did it? Where we need to focus our attention is that technology going from doing the good and stopping.
Well,
or continuing on to make it bad. I
can prove my point. Okay. This is why I'm saying that common sense has been lost. All right. Over the years, the different illnesses and sicknesses and things, it always amazes me. Like if you have an infection, all right, the doctor right away prescribes an antibiotic, right? Got a sore throat,
Yeah.
got an
Yeah.
antibiotic.
Penicillin.
It's 2026. For the last 75 years, it has been well documented in hundreds, if not thousands, of clinical medical data records that if you take antibiotics, you alter and reduce, I will not say destroy, but you actually alter, reduce, and affect the gut microbe in the intestines. And with
Just let me add one statement. My mom had that exact issue happen to her.
Right.
As she was before she passed away. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So this is the problem I have, is the disconnect. You remember the last podcast I said a friend of mine died of cancer recently. She had breast cancer, esophageal cancer, and liver cancer. I sent her vitamins for her liver, and she went to her oncologist, and the oncologist said, I don't believe in it. Okay. So she died. Now, my point is that what I don't understand, and I still don't understand it, is that you're giving treatment to these people severely. I mean, these are drugs to kill the bad cells, and it will kill good cells, but they don't give things to support the body's nutritional value. Now, the other thing is that if in the world.
Hold on. Do you think that's on purpose or just lack of
I don't think they were educated in the Think about this, because
that's
think
fair.
about this. All right. If you go, I mean, you're my age, Rod. You ever hear of these places across the country, across the world, that you get intravenous B12? You can go for like
absolutely.
Right.
Start with athletes.
All right. Well, whatever. But I'm saying you pay $200, you go to a facility, and they'll inject, they'll give you intravenous B12. All right. So my thing is, when you go to a hospital, all right, and you're admitted in the hospital, generally speaking now, every time you're admitted, they give you heparin, which is a blood thinner. They don't want you to get a blood clot. Okay, I get that. They give you saline, which is primarily salt.
Salt water.
Yeah. But why? I have never heard of a nutritional IV bag that has all the nutritional needs of the body in that bag, or made specific to the person that you're treating. Okay.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Hold on. A question too. Is that on purpose or lack of knowledge?
This is why I'm saying,
because that's a big deal. What you just said, that's a big freaking deal. That makes sense.
Think about it.
There are doctors.
Have you ever been in the hospital? Have you ever been in a hospital? All right.
Oh yeah. I spent 3 months in the hospital, breaking every bone of this body.
You see the food they give you. Now, hospitals generally will give you they're good foods, but don't you love it on every time your family visits you, they got to bring you something else, right? My whole point is that.
Hold on. Producer Barbie used to sneak food in when she'd come and visit me. I was in the hospital 3 months. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Say hi to Barbie too. I forgot to say that before.
I will. She was on the show yesterday. I wish if she's here, say hi, Barbie.
I just think that the next generation, because you got all these companies, these specific labs they'll run blood work that will tell you down to the molecule, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. But what about creating?
Hold on. Before we move on, I'm stuck on this IV thing. Right. Is there any kind of push for this at all? First time I've ever heard that idea come up was just now.
Remember me.
Seriously, that is brilliant. Well, there are medical resource. There are doctors. There are freaking physicians. When we go into a hospital, the first thing we should have now is any of this. You can make up a cocktail where nobody be allergic to it or anything like
No,
that, right?
look,
You could make
Look, like
that should be the first thing. Anytime somebody comes in, first thing they should have, forget the saline, that.
No, that's why I'm saying, if you think about it,
that blows my mind.
You're in hospital 3 months. 3 months.
Yeah.
Did you ever,
Over 3 months.
Listen, Rod, were you ever given a multivitamin in the hospital?
No. Not that I remember. I was given lots of drugs.
You're given drugs, right?
Lots of drugs, yeah.
But you were not given multivitamins.
No.
Okay. Now, when you go into the NICU, the babies ward, because some people don't know the neonatal, the nursery.
Did you call it a NICU? Did you call it a NICU?
It's called NICU. It's for the
NICU.
Yeah, it's NICU. It's for the little babies, the premature babies.
All
right.
Yeah.
But if you go into there, because see, my eye catcher gifts business, many years ago, I used to deliver bubblegum cigars. I had a beeper, so when the babies were born, I delivered cigars, right? So I would go to these deliveries.
That's fun.
And I would be sitting there, and I'd be like, they would come out with special formula. And I remember asking the nurse, now we're talking about premature babies, okay? They don't have mature organ systems, okay? So they have to be given special foods, dietary foods with all the nutrients in it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So your baby is the only person in a hospital that make sure that child, that baby, gets the nutrition it needs. Come back, Rod.
That's interesting in your Mary. Zen, Mary. How about, do you have tea? Is that tea double caffeinated?
No, it's decaf, actually.
Okay, all right.
But think what I'm saying is that
I know exactly what you're saying. And here's the thing. And here's the thing is, what, to your point, adding alongside of your point, when the fact that they're giving underdeveloped preemies, but preemies, they give preemies that higher nutrients. The fact that they do that means they know the critical importance of those nutrients within the baby forming.
Listen,
and now the whole thing explodes.
Right.
Folks, listen to what the hell she's saying.
If a premature baby is so weak, is not secure, that they have to make sure they give them that special formula. See, everyone else in the hospital.
Hey, I'm putting this up as a signal. Don't you dare read it. When I hear you causing to come down, I'll set you up. I do not want you to read it. You are a harassing young lady. You know that?
No, listen, I'm just passionate. I'm trying to get the word out as fast as I can. I was
100%.
in a car
Go
accident.
on with your point. We're in the nutrients world, so I want to bring this in a little bit. Keep going with what you're saying.
Listen, like I said, is that common sense? I don't know. I just think as a society, as adults, as people, like we had mentioned in the last podcast about the MREs for the military, that they get their little packages. I really think as a society, we just need to get that kind of availability and affordability for all the people, so that if you still wanted to eat an Oreo or a hot dog or something, at least you have the nutrients. And like I said, not one individual at any age knows exactly what their body absorbs or makes at any given point. Every supplement.
Okay, here you go. This is the perfect time. We've got a couple of those coming up right now.
Let me know when you want me to.
Actually, let me pull Rob's off, since you said what you just said. So Brandon, how do we know if our body's undernourished? Let me finish. How do we know if our body's undernourished? So, there's a point in time where if you're undernourished, you're weaker and you're not as vibrant, and the more undernourished, I get, okay, we can kind of get some symptoms. If you're an athlete, you know these things because that's your living. But before that, we could go years and years and years and decades being undernourished. And one of the things I talked about in the opening was, how can we be undernourished and overfed at the same time? So I want to tie that together. And if you would hit Brando here for me.
All right.
On what he's asking.
It says, how do we know if our body is undernourished? Okay.
Absolutely.
So we have
and expand on that. And expand on that. How we overfed and undernourished.
You could be. I always put healthy is more the pronoun word. Undernourished. Okay. Nourishment is as far as you have to the point where you have like nourishment as you could be fat and be nourished, but be unhealthy. So there's
okay.
You have to define it a little better. All right.
Okay.
I think I always go to your blood test results because your body doesn't lie. So if you have, if any of your blood test results are out of the normal range, of the normal range, that's basically your body saying to me whether you're fat or skinny. Because look at it, me over here at 295. Now, I am nourished because I am fat. All right. Healthy, I wasn't as healthy because my blood tests, I had high cholesterol, I had high blood pressure. So those are the signals that tell you you're undernourished, is your blood work. Because your blood
don't
work,
you also have to ask for certain tests that aren't normally always given? I remember that from our last conversation.
Yeah, high sensitivity CRP is the inflammation.
Yeah.
That's number one, because doctors do not know how to treat it, because inflammation can be a reaction. Your body's fighting your medication, your body's fighting your lack of vitamins. But that one, like I lost 90 pounds. It's been a 5-year process. I get my CRP test all the time, every time, because I want to know if what I'm doing right now is pissing off my body. So that's one of the things. The other one too is really important.
Wait. You said all the time. What is that? What is that in time wise? All the time, once a week, once a month, every time
No.
you need to do a checkup?
Well, once a year I get on the back of the book is the main list. And then usually like now I monitor CRP, high sensitivity CRP, fasting.
Again, what's CRP? What's CRP again?
C-reactive protein is for inflammation in your body.
Gotcha.
And then I get my lipid panels, which is your cholesterol, your triglycerides, because I want to make sure what I'm doing to continue to lose weight, things are not, things are getting better, not getting worse, because everybody's body is different. So you have to see how your body reacts to any changes. Now, fasting insulin is really important, because if you're a fat person, all right.
Wait, did you say fasting insulin?
Yeah, insulin. It's a blood test.
I know. No, I know what insulin is. Oh, when you say fasting, you mean you have to fast before it 24 hours and then have the test. Gotcha.
Well, it's like 8 hours, 10 hours. The reason why is insulin is the hormone that your body releases when you eat food. And when you eat a lot, or you're fat, okay? When you're fat, that means you've overwhelmed your body with sugar. And when you do that, your body releases insulin. And if you don't fast, that insulin level usually stays high. So then you get into insulin resistance, which now your body's not reacting. And so now you're starting the downward spiral. All right. So I always check my fasting insulin, because right now, like my fasting insulin, I think.
Hold on. Stay right there. Producer Barbie, if you're on, I know this is something pre-diabetic and diabetic. I know that's something you've dealt with your entire life a lot, and really was at the point of pre-diabetic and really focused on this. What's fascinating about this conversation, one, I'm familiar with it, but alongside of that, having this discussion in the way you're having it with us,
right?
It's that kind of conversation where it's kind of let's call it a professional approach, and you go, I want to partake in this. I want to listen to this because it makes a lot of sense. It's not just this or that. It's organized thought discussion, and I like that.
You know, if my old training, if you think about it, is you know, the old, I don't know if you're religious or not, but in the old days they used to say,
I am.
Well, you know, if you give a person a fish, they eat for a day. If you teach them how to fish, they eat for a lifetime. Well, this is the whole point, is that people know more about their cell phones and their cars than they do about their basics about their body. And you don't need to be a doctor, a scientist. And believe me,
No, you don't.
Some of those books that I read, I had to read 3 and 4 times. And I jumped over some of the words because I couldn't say them, but the gist of it, I got it. And I'm just saying to people is that, like, CRP is inflammation. If you're health conscious, if you're taking medications, if you're a drug addict, I don't care what realm of life you are. If you take that test and you see what the amount of inflammation in your body, you're going to know at that point how your body, is it mad? Is it happy?
That's the question I wanted from Barbie. See, what's the test? I'm sorry, I'm blanking on it.
It's HS, high sensitivity CRP.
CRP.
Yes.
Barbie, please let me know if all that time you ever worked with high sensitivity CRP, right, Mary?
Right. That's what you got to see.
Right. I just want to see if she drops that in the comments. I don't know if she's on right now. She's in California, so she may not be even up here.
Hi, Barbie. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is the whole thing, is people need to learn certain tests they should ask. Like we talked about the iron panel last time. That's a big problem. So CRP.
I know that one.
CRP,
Matt had that. Matt had the iron panel a lot because he had an iron deficiency. He's an awesome athlete, but go ahead. Yeah, I know that one.
This is just pointing out so that the people start learning. They don't have to know everything, but just start asking, because I think it's common sense. We're at a point now in 2026 that you no longer can deny. If you go in a hospital, we're not getting the nutrients in an IV bag. We're not. All right. I think
that's a big deal. That is such a big. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you on this point because that is such a big deal.
They don't believe it. They don't believe in it.
IV has only water and salt and maybe blood thinner.
Well, no.
And whatever medicine.
No, heparin. The heparin they give you. I mean, in New York area, I don't know by you, but generally
I don't know either.
Heparin is a blood thinner, and they inject it into your belly. Not in the eye.
Okay. Okay. But that's only when you're having the surgery, right? That's only when you're having
No.
Really?
No. Now they do it because you're bedridden. They don't want you to form a clot. And I will not. Well, like I said, it's a personal decision to decide on that. But think about it. Okay. All right. You got people. I just look at it. What if we just all, for a conversation, agreed that none of our food in this world is nutritionally complete? If we just started that, and everybody, because right now everybody's in denial. The agriculture is saying no, the food is all good. How many people?
That's changing. Hold on, Mary. That's changing a little bit now because a lot more people are starting to push back, especially there's
not a lot of doctors that.
I'm not saying doctors are. I'm not saying no. Doctors always follow. We talk about doctors a lot on the show and some of the different aspects of being a patient within a doctor's world. And the problem with doctors is they're usually about not a generation, they're about a decade behind this society where it's like right now, this conversation that we're having is evolving. And it's actually evolving pretty quickly, not as good as we think it should. And I don't know for sure because it's not talked about every day in the news. However, I think that that this administration and that connection, no matter what you think about the everybody there politically, whatever. But the attack and going after the food, the big pharma, the big ag, is specifically Kennedy, the big ag. I think that spotlight is started. It's not where it needs to be, but just on the backside of that, I want to add to what I'm saying with Rob. What nutrients, to your point, what are most missing in modern diets today? What are the nutrients that are missing?
Simple. It's the foundational 8. Multivitamin, number 1. B complex 100.
What is a multivitamin? I know what it is, but I don't know what it is.
All right. A multivitamin is basically, it has a little bit of the main vitamins, minerals that the body needs in a very small amount. They come. You got
those big pills that you buy at the store. That's like.
They come in capsules. They come in tablets. They come in powders. They come in liquid. There's so many companies today. But like there's copper, there's selenium, there's boron, there's GTF chromium picolinate. There's all the Bs, not just B12. You got all the Bs. Then you got vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin K. So a multivitamin, even in the small, minuscule amount, is it's my foundational start. Then on top
of my body, yes, each day for my body. Is it enough for the body?
You're never going to get the full amount, the maximum, because you got to understand something. A fat person like me, Mary, is going to need a higher quantity of vitamins than a person who weighs 90 pounds. A child, a teenager who's going through puberty is going to need different vitamins. A person who has, Crohn's disease or gut issues, they need different vitamins. So the multivitamin is a foundational stack just to start. It's never going to fit the quantity you need. That's why you have to take additional ones. But there are, like the Mary supplement when it comes out, and is going to have.
Hey, where does that stand? You mentioned that briefly on the last show, and I don't know enough about it yet. But when is the Mary supplement coming out?
As soon as I make them enough money to put it out there. But right now I take 35 supplements, and I'm a product designer. We discussed this last time. So I've already got some formulation companies. I would put it in a powder only, not a tablet or capsule, because in a capsule you can only put 1,000 milligrams combined of anything, and that's not enough. So it'll be in a powder form that you take a scoop and you put it in a drink, and you drink one a day, and that's it. Look, it's going to get to
it'll have all these nutrients, right?
Yes.
It has all these nutrients to build you back up.
There's one, I can't say the name for purposes, but it's very popular, and it did over $50 million. And the thing that I don't like about it is if you look at the ingredients, it says blah, 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 fruit, and it only has 743 milligrams. And then the other choice, it says blah, 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 vegetables, and it has 743 milligrams of that. My problem with that is that it doesn't break down the actual, how much phosphorus is in there, how much calcium is in there, how much potassium is in there. So that to me is like, is it better than nothing? Yes, but I think it's something kind of like a placebo effect. All right.
Well, I think we've talked about
and I think everybody listening
transparency
that we're talking about.
What's that?
I think everyone who's listening can relate, because this is probably the largest advertised and has the most celebrity endorsements on the planet. And it's better than nothing.
We've talked about transparency in packaging, and you just alluded to that.
No, they did what they exactly they put 743 milligrams, which is the actual quantity in there. But they didn't put the nutritional breakdown.
That's not transparent. That's not
Well,
transparent.
nobody's that's the whole point, is because you look at it, people think, oh, well, if I'm eating, 743 milligrams of veggies, I'm doing good, or 743 milligrams of fruit. Well, to me, because I'm on a weight loss journey, I need to know exactly, as close as I can, because that's why I take 35 supplements, is that for my body, I need, like, iodine. I take 25 milligrams a day of iodine, not 12.5. And with the iodine, I need 200 micrograms of selenium. I need, 500 micrograms, 500 milligrams the tyrosine, and then I need 200 micrograms of GTF chromium picolinate. So this is the whole thing. Is that we're going to get to a point where people are just not going to feel well, and they're going to be like, something is missing, and they'll go further. I'm hoping that this conversation, people will pay more attention to what they're eating. They'll add some supplements, because you don't know what your body is making. You don't know what your body is absorbing. It's just a safety net. So, Rodd, where'd you go?
You didn't give me a pitch to lean into. You stopped. I was afraid you were going to do that. I kind of sensed
missed me.
I'm just moving over some of your contact information. We still got a bunch of questions. You still got time, right? You don't have a hard stop.
No. How many people are hanging on?
We still got them. We have built up to 747 people, and we're staying right. You see Boomer back there?
Oh yeah, I like Boomer. I was wondering, is that your dog?
Yeah, Boomer's my. They're both rescues.
All right.
Boomer's my mouth. Hey, Boomer, come here. Hey, that's Boomer. And then Daisy's over there napping on a low blanket.
My poodle just turned 14 2 weeks ago.
Oh, he's 10, and she's exactly a year younger than him. She's 9. Same date, May 6th.
Oh, so, great!
I don't know why I know that. But,
well, listen, I want to say to everybody who's listening, happy birthday to anybody who's having a birthday today.
Happy birthday, absolutely.
And get well to anyone who's a little under the weather.
Yeah, I hear that. What nutrients we did? I wanted to ask this one. No, we did not that one. Sorry. So this is the one I had up earlier from Dirk. Can metabolism be repaired naturally over time? My experience, my lived experience is yes. But what does that mean naturally over time?
Yes and
exactly.
no.
Exactly.
Because you got to understand something, is that, first of all, you have to provide your body what it needs for the metabolic system to work. Like I said, I had hypothyroidism when I was 20. And it wasn't until I tried iodine, but it wasn't until I was 60 and the last 5 years that I got the blend right. I take, like I said, I take iodine, I take tyrosine, chromium picolinate, I take selenium, so that is what helps my thyroid. And I have blood tests to prove my T3 went from 1.1 to 3.1. So it's not, coincidence. It actually works. But now, as far as this gentleman said, can metabolism be repaired naturally over time? It can be. Now, repaired is because as we age, our body functions decrease naturally. So what I could say is that if you give your body what it needs, you will have achieved optimal health for your age. And that's the way you got to look at it. You're never going to reverse the clock, where you're going to, you give this and you're going to go back to a 10-year-old capabilities, because that's just not the way the body was engineered. You can make many, major improvements. I'll be 65 in May, and if I can feel like this going forward, and the human cell could live to 120 to 140. It's been proven and documented. Then I'm fine with that. Look, I wake up, okay? I have 2 screws in my shoulder. I had impingement in my left shoulder. I have no meniscus in my left knee. I tore the cruciate ligament in my right knee. I had patent heart surgery when I was a baby. Okay, I have 3 herniated discs, 3 compressed discs. I have not taken an aspirin or a Tylenol in 7 years. I take no medications. All right. I have no pain. I have aches. I have broken fingers. You see, I have arthritis and I've broken fingers from bowling, from basketball, from sports. So I do have problems with that. Like certain mugs, I'll get a spasm. But if this is what I got to deal with at 65, are you kidding me? I'm fine with it. That's what I'm saying is that the whole purpose of the book and this conversation is to achieve optimal health for your age and for your anatomy. All right. But you got to give your body what it needs, period. And the longer you procrastinate and say, no, that's not it. And listen, medication should be the last resort. It shouldn't be the first. And as far as I'm concerned,
that more.
Medication blocks symptoms. All right. It doesn't cure the problem. And I always say, how can you take a medication consciously and you don't know if that symptom is because you're lacking B vitamins or you're lacking magnesium? I took 3 blood pressure pills on and off for years. And now I take magnesium and my blood pressure is controlled. All right. I'm just telling people is that don't substitute one for the other when it could just be simple. You need to have the conversation. And the second part that I don't care for is that never, ever in my medical life, my history with my doctors, did any doctor ever reevaluate any prescription drug I was on. If I was on cholesterol medication and I had my yearly physical, he just refilled the prescription. That was it. It wasn't until, like I said, I was sick for 5 years, I was dizzy, that it turned out it was, and that's in the book, that it turned out it was my birth control pill. I went 5 years to a neurologist, endocrinologist, ear, nose, and throat guy. I went to my internist, and everyone, they checked me for adrenal cancer because I had high cortisol levels, which is 100% a result of birth control pills. They don't tell you that. So I remember going to the bookstore at 8:30 at night and sitting on the floor to read where the adrenal glands are because I didn't know where the adrenal glands were at that point. They're right above your kidneys. And they were testing me for adrenal cancer. Do you know what that's like to be in your 30s? And a doctor said,
Wow.
"Oh, Mary, I think you have adrenal cancer." And the second statement to that was like, "Yeah, we're also testing you for MS, multiple sclerosis." And I'm like, "What?" And it turned out it was my birth control pill. This is what I'm saying is that just have a conversation. We need to start, not more meds, less meds, less. And that's
100.
in 10 years from now, you're just going to have people, you're going to have sick people and healthy people. And we don't have the caregivers, we don't have the home health aides, and we don't have the next generation of doctors sufficient to take care of all the secondary problems that occur after the primary problem. You know, you're taking one drug, something else happens. Take another drug, something else happens. And then the aging process.
Well, and I'll add to that we also can't afford these costs that the great middle class is constant.
You know that the healthcare industry.
I'm pausing so I can get back to my conversation.
I'm sorry, I'm passionate.
No, I love talking to New Yorkers. I love talking to New Yorkers who are passionate because I get to verbally box a little bit. I get to arm wrestle for words. So you get. So we can't afford to have that. Well, we can obviously because we have to. We're dealing with it. We're doing what we have to do every day to survive. And to your point, we can't afford to have this. We can't afford to have the cost of constantly our medical bills rising, when really they should be lowering. And that whole system needs to be fixed. So on top of that, the medical thing, they're throwing us into a broken system and constantly asking us to pour money and our lives into it. I want you to read out loud what Richard's got here for you. I got a couple of them in a row.
Loving this conversation in real time. Thanks, Richard. I appreciate the the compliment, but we need to get this louder and we need to get this further along. Let's see, Jared's put incredible show. Thank you for this content. We need to get the noise out. We need to make more noise, and look, in the last 10 years, I don't know if you realize it or not, Rod, but I would say, yeah, probably 10 years, that if you have people that are in medical situations, medical illnesses, they have diagnoses and they're going through treatments. This is the first time in my life in the last 10 years that insurance companies are denying more treatments. They're denying more treatments than ever before. So you have a boomerang effect. One hand, when the patient starts their diagnosis treatment, they get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drugs. Now they progress to this side where they're sicker, and the doctors recommend something else, and the insurance companies are now denying treatment. This is a problem, and I only look at it, and I'm not saying it's because it's overwhelming. People no longer have, if you went into a hospital 20, 30 years ago, you went in, you had a heart attack, okay? You had a heart attack. You had something that occurred. Well, today, when you go into the hospital, you walk in, you may have had a heart attack, but you're also diabetic. You also have asthma. You also have obesity. You also have edema in your legs. You also have lack of vision. You have multitudes of symptoms and illnesses that are so overwhelming. And that's why you could see the progression. That's why I look and I'm like, this is starting to get out of control. And the United States is the freest country for innovation, for design, for discussion. All the freedoms are here, and yet we're the most unhealthiest country on this planet. That's
Mary, you're right. You're right back into it. We talked about this earlier in that bridge example. There goes Boomer again. That bridge example of science being able to create less starvation in the world because of that bridge that science was able to develop in food. And then from there, the reason we're in the problem we're in is the lack of education and willingness for us to live our own lives, for actually to take part in our lives, because the science there's Barbie. The science is, she wanted to ring in here. The science is at a point now where it's far beyond, I'll be kind and say just helpful. It's actually in the opposite direction, where it's working together to compete for our dollars at the expense of our lives. Barbie is asking here, you are set, or no, why don't you read that? She's got a comment.
Hi, Barbie.
She heard you say, I want to say hi.
Right.
She said, I wanted to say hi. So go ahead.
Let's see. You are such an inspiration to taking your health into your own hands and being your own advocate. We have so much to learn from you and your journey. Well, I'm not leaving anywhere. And
I told you she's been on this journey. And what was that again? That was back about, God, we've been going over an hour and 15 minutes.
She said, I was diagnosed in early 2000 with pre-diabetes. They put me on.
I didn't see that one.
They put me on a diabetic medication, and they wanted me on other medications. Well, I don't know what she wants to reveal or not, but listen. As far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as pre-diabetic. You either are or you aren't. If if your A1C is over 5.4, you're already insulin resistant, which means your body is struggling to understand what signal you're actually receiving. So there's things you can do. Berberine is an herb, a supplement that you take it with your meals that not interferes. It actually reduces the spike of sugar and insulin in the bloodstream, so your body can handle it better. But one thing I just wanted to say about your bridge theory is that, when people make technology, and innovation is great.
It was an example.
I know, but
example.
But the whole point is that, when when they created the plane, you had to understand the goods and the bad about it. And when they created the food processing, my whole thing is that we have accepted and we have created all this technology, but they don't want to admit that it's lacking anything. And that's why that's where I have a problem, is that if we all got to the same agreement and said, you know what, our food source, whether through packaging, processing destroys it, it bothers it, or otherwise, and we just take a supplement, then we can all move forward. You want me to read it?
Yeah, no, I'll read it. But Barbie does take a lot of supplements. What was that test? I keep forgetting the name of. What was that test? I was asking you that. The test. I've mentioned it a couple of times.
HSCRP is for inflammation.
Say it again.
H, high sensitivity C reactive protein. They abbreviate it HS-CRP. And that's
Barbie, that was the test that I was asking if you had ever taken that before, because it's inflammation.
It's very seldom. You're lucky if they even, well, maybe now.
Right, that's why I brought it up. That I didn't recognize it. That's why I brought it up. So how does food quality impact metabolism long term? I think this is a really good question by Rob here.
Well, if the food that you consume is not nutritious or supplemented with nutrients, your metabolism long term is only going to decline. Your whole body function declines over time, just as the aging process. But if you don't give your body the nutrients, it declines so much faster. I'll even go a step further with that. If I can maybe add to, I think in what Rob's asking here, as far as food quality. So if you have a solid steak that was raised, the cow was raised in the perfect. I don't know if you're meat or not, but whatever. But if that quality, all that nutrition comes, everything works the way it's supposed to. Yeah, but it's not.
But if your food quality that you're taking in, like processing food, this and that, not only does it have the nutrients potentially, probably not near what it needs, but it has fillers. It has this, it has that, it has this, it has that. It has things that in the beginning of the show, you made a point that I want to bring back to Rob's question here into that point. You made a point that our body, your original discussion opened with, our body is designed to absorb everything we take in.
Right.
So if food quality is bad, we're taking in whatever good there is in that food, but then we're taking in this other, and our body's like, pardon my language, what the F? What the hell do I do with this? The signal you talked about with Barbie a minute ago. Our body doesn't know what to do with that signal. So it creates inflammation. It does that. It reacts. It's doing what it's supposed to while we're pumping, let's say poison, but also fillers and crap it doesn't know what to do with. So I would say, to Rob's question, how does food quality impact metabolism? Probably screws the shit out of it. Pardon my language.
That's why I said is that
screws the shit.
The food quality, I don't listen, like I said last time, is if we had a machine that I could take and, scan that particular food item and see exactly what was in it, then I could say, oh, this apple I'm eating right now has, 20 milligrams of potassium. Then I can make a mental calculation. Am I getting what I need for that day? None of our food sources whether it's processed or unprocessed, I feel I don't know what it is. I don't know how much nutrients are in a whole apple anymore. I take supplements as a safety precaution because I said you don't know what you're consuming is nutritious, and I don't know what my body makes or absorbs
Okay,
at
are you
the time.
are you jumping on Brando here? Because
Uh,
if you are, that's good. His question is awesome. Are supplements necessary, or can food alone fix deficiencies?
no,
And here's the thing, I believe it. Maybe it could, but here's the thing: for you, what you were just saying, I don't know how much is in that apple. I don't know
right.
how much is
That's
in
why
that.
I said
So you probably could do it, but it would probably cost you a fortune to
no.
figure out.
There's
Maybe hold
not.
on. Let
Okay.
me finish my thought.
Okay.
There's an extension to a
Okay.
thought.
All right.
You could probably do it because you can test the nutrient. I mean, scientists, how do they test the nutrients and stuff? There's big lab equipment that does all this stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe not for the right reasons, but it does. So I think, to answer your question literally, Brando, although you're right logically, operationally, but literally, are supplements necessary? Could food alone fix deficiencies? I believe it could. I mean, if a supplement can, I think food can. However, to know exactly what the balance is, what you need,
Right.
how much is in there, would take such an exuberant amount of effort, but also extensive cost. How do you analyze? You can't look at an apple and
That's
say,
why I
well, there's 3
said.
grams in there.
That's why I said I personally believe right now, March 21st of 2026, everyone on this planet should be taking supplements. Everyone, because
Yeah.
look, the food processing, they mill it, they cook it, they alter the natural state. Then if you think about it, not every food comes with the digestive enzymes in it. Your body has to make it, but your body can't make it unless it gets the nutrients, the foundational nutrients first. So this is why I'm saying everyone on the planet should be taking a supplements, vitamins, and any of that as a safety measure, because you don't know what your body makes, you don't know what your body absorbs from food at all, or even the 35 supplements I take. When I found out that I was iron deficient, I added an iron supplement, and then I got retested to make sure my body was absorbing it. So I went to validate the process. That's why, like I told you, is that yeah, there's millionaires out there. I know there's some guy in Manhattan, I forgot his name, but he spends $1 million a year. He gets his blood taken every week, and he's got, he goes to bed at 8 o'clock. I mean, he's got like these really unique, total out of, but that's his choice, and he's got the money. If he wants to be stabbed and poked every week, go for it. I'm just saying that for the modern man, woman, and child, all right, if you look around, like I told you, we didn't have so much autism 20 years ago. We didn't have dementia 20 years ago. We didn't ADHD, OCD, anxiety. Forget about it. Just anxiety and depression. Then you go about fat, just straight fat. The world got so many fat people, and nobody wants to live and be fat. If I have no clue. I'm 204 right now. I'm trying to get down to 170. That one is 295. My heaviest was 321. But the way I feel right now, I take no medications except my supplements. All right. Last week I walked 22 miles.
Let me jump in right there.
All right, Barb.
I want to go back to some other questions, but I want to also round out what Barbie was talking about because of what you just said. Exactly what you just said, because she's in the same scenario and vein with you. She does work out, always has worked out religiously because of emotional health and physical health. But I lived with Barbie and I spent decades together, and so I know this story right here. I know this story exact. As a matter of fact, her youngest son I raised from 4 on up.
Nice.
And great story, all good stuff. Her oldest son is another great story and all good stuff. She's now got her third grandchild. Great story. She's living in California. Well, I'm in Oklahoma, so I'm not as bad as when I was in Chicago. But her point here, I changed my diet and started exercising and no longer took medication. When I was talking about earlier, and you said there's no such thing as pre-diabetic, I don't know the difference, and I totally agree with you. But
all right. I want to say something to Barbie at that.
But yeah, absolutely. At that point, I remember her. I was living it. I was eating the food. Great cook, by the way. Oh my God. She shifted as far as how the family ate, specifically herself and the way she ate. And literally it all went away. She was so concerned moving right up to that. And then the next blood test that she did at her doctor's, backed up some more. It's a great success story. Wow. And complementing your story. Go ahead, talk to Barbie.
Well, the only thing I wanted to say is that, like I tell everybody, there's no guarantee. Whether you take a medication or you take a supplement, a vitamin, there's no guarantees associated with it. I do this as a safety net for me, and I go by my blood tests, all right? I do believe, Barbie got her improvements because she did change her diet and she's off medication. Right. But I still do believe that Barbie and anyone else should be taking at least the foundation.
Whoa, she does full-on supplement. She did. I'm sorry. I should have added that. I'm sorry. I should have added that in. I think it's, from what I remember, and Barbie, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 28 separate supplements she takes every single day. She got me taking supplements. So sorry, my bad.
Well, that was the only thing I wanted to make sure that there was an understanding, because
100%.
That's just the safety, to add an additional safety layer on there, because, like I told you, is that I didn't know I was iron deficient. I listened to my blood work and what I was reading, and I like the 35 supplements I take now. I'm not changing any. I don't change them like every week. These are the core.
Same ones. Let me ask you this. So what Dick's are asking here, and by the way, we're at an hour and a half already. I can't believe
man, I didn't even get to talk about protein and fiber.
No, we're not quite done yet. We're not quite done yet.
Right.
But we've got a series coming on here. So we've got good stuff flowing along here. So Dirk, how can someone test? And you've talked about this. I want to change this question a touch. So hold on. I see you getting excited. How do you test for nutrient deficiencies? And what I want to ask, you gave that example of that billionaire in Manhattan,
right?
And what that person does. That's obviously the way over the board extreme. And then you also talk about how you, in your yearly or your whatever that program is, you take certain tests. All I want to ask for you, all I want to know, don't go off.
All right.
Because I got a couple that are close here. All I want to know from you is, what would you suggest to everybody, the same 747 people, what they suggest? And by the way, all of you, please subscribe and like the episode. What do you recommend as the test they should take at least every year?
Well, like I mentioned to you, in the back of my book is the checklist.
There you go. Bring it up. Let me put you on stage alone. Bring it up.
But this is the checklist, and you tell me if you could see it on there.
Yes.
All right. So basically, I don't know if you get reverse.
All right. Hopefully everybody got their screenshots in there, or they can contact Mary.
I can read it down really
No, that's
fast.
all right. That's all right. All right. Okay. Really quick. Go really quick. Absolutely.
All right. The core
boom,
panels.
Boom. All
right. The CBC, comprehensive metabolic panel, lipid panel, thyroid panel. The reason why the panels, it covers all the different pertinent levels they look for. An iron panel, vitamin D, a serum mineral panel with copper, iodine. You can get that in blood serum or through urine. Then you go for fasting insulin, your hemoglobin A1C, homocysteine, C-reactive protein, HS, CRP, and then we go the ApoB, and they'll know if you just say that, lipo-A, and then LDH is actually tells you for tissue damage and for like cancers, active cancers in the body. So that's once a year. And like I mentioned, if you're doing, like you're altering your diet, you're going through treatments and different stuff, then you would repeat portions of it as needed. Like I get lipid panels done 2 or 3 times. I'm going to go again because I
All
change.
right. We got you. We got your book information on the link, and we'll definitely go back through that. I want to keep adding some stuff
All right,
here because
let's
it's
go.
really all tied in.
All right.
Really tied in nicely because Danny right away asked that.
You want me to
After
read
that, no.
Okay.
Is weight gain always linked to poor metabolism? Metabolism, and you can read it again if you want.
Well, poor your metabolic system, all right, your body is doing exactly what it's intended to do. So if you're eating all the time, you're going to be putting on weight. So it doesn't mean your metabolism is bad, you're just eating too much. So it's doing that. Now if you actually look further and your T3, your active hormone, is low, your functionality is low, you want to always check, like I told you, your blood work doesn't lie. So you want to make sure if you put on weight suddenly, you put on 20 pounds, it's out of norm. I would also check to make sure you're not diabetic, because when you're diabetic, the sugar is not being converted no longer. So you're going to put on weight faster. Plus, too, if you're putting weight on fast, you want to go for the other things where you're having abnormalities, where you can have cancers. Now, cancer is a word. It's a word, okay? It's a mutated.
It's a big word.
No, well, yes and no. I have a brain tumor. I have a meningioma, and I live with it. But it's anyway, cancer is a word. It's a mutated cell, all right?
Mm-hmm. True.
It's when the cell isn't given what it needs, it mutates. Every cell in our body has moments where it goes through and it's supposed to die off and then just disappear. The body gets rid of
big time. Oh, absolutely.
Right?
That's what happens during fasting, right? You probably know.
Well, fasting, when you fast, your body, instead of spending the hours to convert the food you're eating, it's spending time to do house cleaning in your body. So that's why fasting is, if you have an
sleep.
If you have, yes, because the sleep rebuilds the energy systems that have been depleted.
Hey, you hear that? You hear that, Barbie? Her and I argued over that.
All right, perfect.
You hear that? See, I wanted to bring her back up. Yes, Barbie, I admitted I made a mistake there. I should have brought that up.
No. Well, I just want
all
to
of
make
that's
sure.
important.
I wanted to make sure she was taking it. But like I was saying, when the whole point I wanted to talk about, the cancer word and whatnot, is that I've lost many people to cancer, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. There's 500,000 licensed oncologists in this country. I'm glad they're oncologists, but I do have a problem with that. Not one person questions the basics. Why is it so hard to just I had a nodule in my thyroid that if you go to an endocrinologist, they'll say, well, Mary, you have a nodule that could become cancerous. Well, a nodule grows because it wasn't given the nutrients it needed. Now, obviously, if I never gave it the nutrients it needed, it could progress to a cancerous state. Cancerous state means that it continues to, see, this is the whole thing. Cancer, what they always say, the most important protocol today, as it was 60 years ago, is if you can cut it out, cut it out. Because if you don't cut it out, it can continue to progress because they don't know what triggers it and why it continues to grow. That's the mutated cell. And I give people the example. If I hit you in your arm and you get a black and blue, I've altered that cell. In 10 days, if you're a healthy person, that black and blue is going to go back to normal. so everything's hunky-dory. In a cancer state, those cells continue to mutate. So we need to get to an understanding of, make sure people, and I know they're going to say, well, what about children with cancer? And I'm like, well, they were born from their parents. This is not just you're lacking of nutrition.
All right, Mary, hold on, Mary, wait. All right, you took a hard right. You took a boom. No, let me finish.
It's nutrition.
Need to take. Absolutely. We need to take cancer, because that's an entire subject within its own, and it's got so many levels that everything needs nutrition, and that's why I wanted to bring Danny back in here, and let's continue down this lane, because I think cancer's the most, if not one of the most important conversations, especially in this realm of health and nutrition. However, that's a whole nother, that's a pocket over here that we really gotta dig in all sorts of levels to really have any kind of connection to that's at another level, I believe. But what Danny's asking here is interesting as well. Is weight gain always linked to poor metabolism, which we talked about? And then can improving nutrients lead to weight loss without dieting? That's an interesting thing. So to me, how I would answer this, and then you tell me. So I could now eat, like Barbie said, producer Barbie said, I switched my diet. So I can now eat high nutrient, high value, high good body food. Now, what also happens when you eat good food, especially protein, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't eat as much because your body feels the protein. Your body is made to say, oh, I'm eating protein. That fills me up. Versus, say, sugar, I don't know, whatever, carbohydrates versus carbohydrate. So to me, can improving nutrients lead to weight loss without dieting? I think what happens is, to me, if you improve your nutrients, your body then doesn't need as much food, and so it does its own diet. You just don't. I don't need a burger right now. I'm good. I don't need those fried. Yeah, I'm full, man. I feel good. What do you think?
Well, the nutrients makes your body functions better. Okay.
Correct.
As you age, like I said, your body does less, absorbs less. But here, Joe's question, can improving nutrients lead to weight loss without dieting? That's correct. Well, this is the problem here. Okay. So dieting is restricting food. All right.
Correct.
Weight loss, if you want to lose weight, your body only loses weight under 4 reasons through evolution. Number 1 is disease. If you get sick, if you have a chronic illness or you have the flu, you can lose 10 pounds overnight, water and fat. Okay. The next thing is exertion. When you increase your heart rate from between 102 to 130, you release the fat stores and you lose weight. The third thing is stimulants. If you drink caffeine, all right, years ago, there used to be amphetamines. There used to be phenobarbital or something. Stimulants increases the metabolic rate in the body. The last thing is adequate nutrition will improve weight loss. But there's a big but here. Your daily activities just to breathe, sit, open your eyes, whatever. You only need about 6 ounces of stored energy. It's called glycogen that's stored in your liver. That's it. It's sugar, it's stored for your breathing. If you want to lose weight, existing weight that you stored, you got to move. You got to do something. Fact. All right. That's the only way. Your body was engineered for those reasons. So if you have 10 pounds of fat on your body or more,
like that,
you only need to take your nutrients, the 8 foundational items, and just eat 1 meal, a snack. That's it. People are so brainwashed to think that they have to eat 3, 4, 5 meals a day. You have to drink water. You have to be hydrated, because if you don't drink enough, you can't pee enough, and you can't exhale fat through the carbon dioxide. Your body can't convert fat and get it out of your body. So it's all relative to how you actually.
Well, the water also flushes that we talked about when you're fasting or when you're sleeping. Those cells, get changed over. The water flushes those out, right?
Yeah. So this is the whole thing. Is that, like the gentleman said, does adequate nutrition increase weight loss without dieting? And no, it doesn't work. It's not an automatic switch like that. The increased nutrients will help your body function better, and dieting is restriction. That if you want the 4 things on how you lose weight, you got to pick one of the 4, but your body always maintains like 6 ounces of glycogen at any time, just for your normal breathing, things like that. But to break down fat and to lose weight, you gotta exert yourself. You gotta move. You gotta do stuff. So,
well, yeah, I guess I could have presented that better, because you're right. Absolutely makes sense. Now, my point cleverly, which didn't get caught here, I missed it. I got a whiff on that one, but I thought it was clever. And when you're eating high nutrient food, high value food,
right,
it is my belief that by weight you eat less food that's high value, because your body doesn't need it as much. Your body is accurate. The 6 ounces or whatever for just breathing and all that they use.
Well, let's.
Why can't I ever finish a point with you?
I love you, Rodd. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Oh my God!
It must be the Long Islander in me. I don't know.
Oh, it definitely is. It's awesome. But if you'll notice, we don't battle. I just like screwing with you back. I just do it different than you're used to, I think, which is fun. I got
people. My mother and my brother.
It doesn't matter. Go on with your thing. So
no. The only thing I wanted to point out is that if you think about a pound of carbs, a pound of pasta, and a pound of steak is still a pound, but they digest completely oppositely in your body.
Okay, hold on. We're on the wrong thing here. A pound of processed food,
right,
poor food, bad diet, ramen noodles, I don't know, bullshit food, and a pound of high quality, I don't care what it is. You're not listening to what I'm saying. High value food. I didn't say meat. Well, a long time ago, I mentioned a steak because I'm really craving a steak right now. But I'm talking about a pound of a pound of high quality, high value, high nutrient food.
Yes.
You will eat a less of that, or let's say 20 pounds of that, and 20 pounds of highly processed, highly filled bullshit food, top ramen noodles, cereal. I mean, on and on and on. You see big, huge people that are that way and are on food stamps because they're not buying high quality food.
Well,
So hey, no. Before you New Yorker on me, sit back and just listen to what I'm saying. A pound of high value food versus a pound of high processed food or bad food. You'll eat less of the high quality food because your body knows what that is. And it gets full and satisfied and operates accordingly.
Well, you're
high processed food, it may not act that way.
No, the unprocessed food is obviously a better choice for nutrient satisfaction.
Unprocessed food,
healthy food. All right, but I think the processed food, the reason why people, if you eat a bag of chips, you can eat the whole freaking bag, is because it's lacking in certain components of food like fiber.
You're making my point.
Right.
You're making my point right now.
All right. Well, that's good because
because if you eat Cheetos, continue to eat, you'll keep eating Cheetos because it doesn't have the high quality
Right.
nutrients.
Well, I don't understand what people. Well, listen. At this point, if you go into a food store, all the choices and like you could buy this food choices, healthy food choices in all price ranges, but you got to understand all these processed foods. Yeah, there is, but there's all.
Wait,
but
whoa.
Oh
You're
my.
saying that to shop groceries at this specialty grocery store that only serves non-chemical, non-filler
I think.
fruits and veg, that costs the same as Albertsons. I don't know what grocery stores you're
Well,
at, but there's a difference.
Well, I think I should refrain and put it this way better. Anybody who wants to eat, instead of buying any packaged food, can buy a regular food to cook. I think the problem in this
100%.
country is that people, because they have two income families, they work jobs, they have kids, they got afternoon activities.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. Good point.
I think that because I look at it is that they just want quick meals. That's it. If they had it,
laziness.
I am fat, and the beginning of most of my life, I wasn't like fast food. My problem was like if at home my mom cooked, and I would have cookies. The snacks is what got me, and then that's what really made it bad. But the question is that you think people don't have affordable choices, and I disagree. You can get chicken in any grocery store, and you can grill up a cutlet, with us veggies on the side, for less than $10. All right, people don't want to do the cooking. They don't.
Okay, so let me keep you back in here, which is to the point here. Kenneth says, are children also facing the same issue? And you were leaning right all around this.
Question. Unfortunately, the children are going to suffer the greatest catastrophes. Because look, you see people on Ozempic and Wegovy now at 10, I think 12 years old. I think they're allowed to prescribe it. So you're altering their whole metabolism, and then they're in puberty yet. So who knows what it's going to do to them long term. There was some doctors that said that the children right now who are 0 to 10 years old will not outlive their parents. That's frightening. And I think it's 100%. Look.
Whoa. That's a big freaking statement. Wow. Yeah. Where does that come from? That doesn't even make sense.
They had a doctor saying, like, right now, the average man is supposed to live to 72, and the average woman, I think, is 76 or 78. And I remember listening to a guy on TV, one of the, doctors, and he was saying that children born today from 0 to 10 years old will not outlive their parents. They won't get past 72 because of this, the lack of nutrition in their diet. They got obesity. They got Ozempic. Look, colon cancer.
No. Hey. There's all sorts of bad things going on. Absolutely, no doubt about it. I could not agree with you more.
So that's why I'm saying. I think children aren't taught. Look, if you go to Japan, the children in Japan, they go to school. All right, they're taught in they have a healthy kitchen. Like their lunchroom. And the kids have to pick their own vegetables and stuff like that. There's no processed nothing in Japan. And everything, the cooks, they have cooks, and everything has to be all natural foods. We don't have that. The kids today, everything is grab and go, processed foods. And what kid knows how? I mean, I know men my age that still don't know how to grill a chicken. We got a problem there. You know how to grill a chicken there, Rod?
I'm not. Yeah, Are you kidding me? I literally grill every single day. And
All
I
right.
usually eat chicken. I eat chicken more than steak because
All
of the
right.
real reasons. I eat vegetables.
Just
I do eat
checking.
a lot of pasta mixture. I drink a lot of broths. And I'm addicted to milk. So yeah, absolutely. I know how to grill a
You gotta
chicken.
get off
Do
the
I like
milk.
to grill? Do I? No, I ain't getting off the
You
milk.
gotta get off the
Nope.
milk.
Well, that's fine,
Not good
but I'm
for
not
you.
getting off the milk. Okay, but I'm
All
not getting off the milk. The milk has done so much for me. Listen, one last question here is
right.
right here, and then I want you to go into kind of a closing statement. We're at 2 hours now,
All right.
so and I think people are starting to like dive off now
No, well,
because we're kind of rolling
I
around in
wanted
some.
to talk about the fiber and protein. We'll have to do another show.
Absolutely.
What's the first step to fixing metabolic health is basically you always got to start with the foundational 8. And that's getting your multivitamin B complex 100, C complex 1000, D 5000 with K2. Then your minerals that are in your multi plus an additional magnesium of choice. You can do glycinate, you can do citrate, you can do threonate. Then you go to, after that, omega-3 because of the emollient, iodine, and then fiber. Fiber is by all means the most important out of all because we're not getting any fiber, and fiber helps your body feed the gut, and the gut makes your incretin hormones and your hormones that keep you alive. So that's it. That's the foundational 8 is what you need. You can't build a house unless you have a foundation, and then you work on your individual weaknesses or illnesses you're trying to resolve. But you're in charge of your health care. Your people have to get involved, and they have to, if they're not happy with the way they're feeling, they need to get their doctor's undivided attention. And if their doctor's not willing to work with them, get another doctor. Your life is important. We only have one life. And you don't say woulda, coulda, shoulda. You just need to really start paying attention. Your body does not lie, and get those blood tests every year.
Yeah, that's 100%. I appreciate, this discussion. I appreciate this passion. And like I said in the opening monologue, to have the dedication to continue this conversation and have it be a continuing conversation. These are the things that we need in the great middle class. And these are the things that we need to realize, which at the end of the day, what you talked about, everything you talked about comes back to a central point, which is start living your own life, be active in your life. And I think that really goes a long way to solving a lot of issues. Give everybody a big wave. I'll see you in the green room. I want to talk about some of the things we need to go over in kind of messaging, but I've got a hard stop now because this is a 2-hour show, and congratulations for the great message you gave almost 800 people. All right, guys, that was awesome. Appreciate you guys being here and staying with this conversation and staying with all the things that are important, and you being able to stay with life and stay with stay with the direction that you're on this journey. Stay in the direction of that journey because you have a purpose for life, and that's what I love about conversations like this. They don't end cleanly; they expand. That's what stands out to me. Whether you agree with Mary's framing or not, you can't deny this: the current system is not producing metabolic health at scale. So the real question becomes this: do we double down in the same narrative, or do we investigate deeper layers? Disease model, nutrient crisis, environmental toxicity, food transparency, or as I mentioned again, label transparency. There's deeper levels. There's items that need to be looked at and discussed. And there's a time where we need to live our own lives. Or is this just simply an education failure that we don't know enough about? These are not isolated topics. They're infrastructure. They're infrastructure conversations. And that's why this matters. Mary joining us as a health and wellness sponsor it's not about a promotion or being promoted. It's about commitment to continuing the conversation, commitment to not letting this become a one episode flashpoint, commitment to building a lane here at Insights and Straight Talk that addresses healthy metabolism. If you found today valuable, here's what I want to ask you to do. Subscribe on YouTube, turn on notifications, okay? Watch more than one episode. You got to learn the ecosystem, the vibe of the show, because this show is not built on clips. You know, it's built on arcs. Engage us on Substacks, insightstraighttalk.substack.com. Read the written reflections. You know what? And share this episode with somebody who needs the conversation, not somebody who already agrees with you. And most importantly, keep asking better questions. That's how we rebuild health. That's how we rebuild trust. That's how we rebuild systems. This is Insights and Straight Talk. I'm Rodd Duff. I'm your host. We'll see you next time. And until then, keep thinking. And until then, let's chat on Insights and Straight Talk.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out. It's about